Everyone, and welcome to our channel. Today we are going to be playing Imperial Guard versus Sisters of Battle. And like the video if you like the video, comment if you want to comment, and more to come. Right, so for today, I have exactly 2,000 points of Imperial Guard Infantry. Now, a few changes made from my last list. So starting off, Basic Commander, we have Acadian Commander with Drill Commander, he's my Warlord. I have 2 platoon commanders and another Acadian commander. Each have melt-a-gun, plasma gun, box, regiment, medipack, stuff like that. I have Ironhand Strachan again. I have 2 Death Corps marshals, 1 regimental preacher, and Sly Marbo. Then after that, I have 2 units of rattling snipers. I have 3 heavy weapons teams, which 2 are las cannons and 1 is a heavy weapon, or heavy bolter. Yeah. As for troops, 2 units of Death Corps with melt-a-gun, plasma cannon, and sergeant with power weapon, plasma pistol, and medipack, I believe. And then I have 2 shock troop units with flamers, melt-a-guns, sergeants with power weapon and such. And then I have 2 units of Ogrins and 2 units of Bullgrins. I chose different models for here, but they all have the 4-up invuln save and strength 7 mauls. Then I have only one unit of Catachan Jungle Fibers with 4 flamers and their Vox and Sergeant. Then I have 2 units of Infantry Guardsmen with melt-a-gun, melt-a-guns, flamers, sergeants, and stuff like that. So I think it's flamers. Yeah, and a Vox. And that's pretty much it. My army's just going to move forward a little bit and just tank. And that is 2,000 points of infantry.
So I have an interesting army today running without Morven Vol. So I have in the red squad, it's a Battle Sister squad with a Dialogist and Palatine combo, Melt-a-gun, Multi-Melta, and actually a Condemner Bolt Gun because I want to try Precision Devastating Wounds more. This green squad of Battle Sisters has a Dialogist. Half of them are going to be going in the Emulator. The Dialogist has Saintly Example. And so if he kills her, I'll be getting some more Miracle Dice. Then I have this blue squad of Novitiates with the Palatine. She has the Blade of St. Eleanor. That's going to be great because the Novitiates actually give her rerolls to hit on objectives, otherwise rerolls of 1 to hit, and she has lethal hits, and her blade's really good in combat. They also give reroll to advance and charge, and also if they kill a squad, I'll get Miracle Dice for it. 3 squads of Arcos with 2 Rhinos, a Castigator with the Battle Cannon, 2 Exorcists, the Triumph, of course, to allow some of these combos to work, Calidus Assassin for objective play, Death Cult Assassin, Crusaders, and then St. Celestine to hop around doing her thing.
So for the mission, after a bunch of randomization, we got Hammer and Anvil for our deployment. Hidden supplies, so the center of battle objective marker is gone, and 2 more are placed diagonally. And then we have Taken Hold, which is control up to 3. And that is the mission. So, for the mission, I have chosen tactical objectives. Simply because I have a lot of bodies, I have a lot of board presence, but the problem is my lethality is a bit strained at times, and so I want to be able to take advantage of my board control and stuff and try to be able to do objectives and stuff, or be able to throw my weight in a place where my opponent goes or isn't there or isn't prepared for. I mean, I could have gotten a lot of assassination, but there isn't much of a good secondary. I don't know if I can destroy his vehicles that well. And so essentially I think that if I don't even know my plan, my opponent cannot stop by that plan. So that's my plan going forward. So what about you?
So I chose Fixed, I chose Assassination, and Deploy Teleport Homer.
You can try.
I think you were right choosing Tactical. I think for me Assassination would have been a trap because like you said, bring it down, I could have basically guaranteed you'd only get like 9 or 12 points, and then you'd be stuck. I am pretty confident I can consistently get the homers, and for Assassination you do have 7 characters, I believe. 9. You have 9, it is.
Yeah, 9.
So even if you hide them, it's like if you make the decision to hide a bunch of characters.
To hide characters is to hide my army.
Exactly, and it's you have too many, and also you'd be less effective. So it's one of those things where I do think I have a pretty good chance, not of maxing these out, but of certainly probably
getting a good amount.
getting more than I can, I can deny you some tactical, I think, if I play right. So the hope is that I can win or contest primary, and then I can at least eke out more secondaries than you. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that's our secondaries. So for deployment for Imperial Guard, well, my opponent lost the roll-off, so he had to deploy first. And so I just used that to try to get some information on where he was. But honestly, I'm not playing counter to him. I'm playing my game. So first off, I placed Catachans in a position. Since they got scout, they can move forward the most. And I really am focusing on based-off terrain, because that's the way the Guard is. They move, they set up, and then they fight and die. So Catachan was going to go for the objective that had the most cover and was the most distance. I had regular infantry go towards a focus on a thing that was close. The Death Corps placed themselves in a position where I think there's going to be a lot of slaughter. And could you stop snacking? And the rest of my Cadians and stuff like that focused on places that they'll be able to support and reinforce, essentially. Last cannons took top and bottom to deal with the long fire lanes and stuff, and heavy weapons took the center to be able to focus on bottom or top. Essentially, I'm trying to place my guys where I think they can do the best based entirely off terrain and objectives. I just have to hold and control 3, and so we'll see how that goes. And that was my idea for deployment. What about you? What about you? Why don't you unmute your thing first and then talk?
Sorry, I was snacking. So, I do think my flagellants are going to be very strong in this game, so my game plan, honestly, is just to rush you. My exorcists, we'll see. Ideally, they would have been picking off your rattling snipers, but unless I move them forward, I'm not going to be in range. I still might consider doing it, but we'll see. Maybe I have to take out your heavy weapons teams first. Because I really don't have any great targets with them. Maybe the Ogrins, the Bullgrins. But yeah, I do expect this is going to be a very brawl in the center. I mean, what else can we do? You have a wall of troops. So I'm glad I didn't take tactical, because, just all your bodies, all your OC would have been tough. But yeah, so I'm deployed somewhat protected, and then turn 1, whether I'm first or second, I just have to go all out. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so who goes first, who goes second? Well, if I go first, we talk about what we're doing. If I go first, basically, I'm going to set up for your counterattack. That's essentially what's going to happen. I'm going to try to take 3 objectives total, and then I'm going to set up gun lines. That's if I go first. That's essentially what I'm hoping for. If I go second, I'll basically... I don't even know if I will move forward. Some of my stuff will, but some of my stuff won't. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As like, I'll just shoot whatever is in front of me and I'll adapt. But most of my plan is for going first. And that's it. And what about you?
I hope I go second. I'm pretty well screened. And I hope I can honestly either take advantage of some rapid ingress, maybe some Calidus repositioning. So there's a bunch I'm hoping you take advantage of going second. That, plus if you don't move on to primary, I do feel like maybe I'm in a better position. If you do move on to primary, maybe I can charge you. So I definitely hope I go second.
Yeah, I get that. All right, so let's see who's first. Imperial Guard, turn 1. Yeah.
Wait, you wanted to go first, right?
Yeah.
But, okay, well, we're both happy then. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Right, so for command phase first, basically army-wide. Well, actually, no, first the scouts. The Catachans up top got a free 6-inch scout, so they did that. I wanted to keep them at a distance away. I could have moved them onto the objective, but I have a feeling that they might have died. And so I just used my movement to finagle them a little bit to get the flamers in a position where they have line of sight and such, and yeah. And make it a overreach, so hopefully I'll do better with that. After that, my entire army received the order, take cover. So basically almost my entire army has +1 to the armor save. Yeah. And then essentially the idea, Death Corps ran, Teal moved, got the bottom objective. I had my guardsmen take the center objective that's closer to me, and my Bullgrins move in support. Death Corps took the front forward position because they're best suited for it. Acadians moved up. Heavy weapons moved in certain places. Although, also for my secondaries, I picked up Assassination and Investigate Signals. And so, Investigate Signals, I actually think I'll be able to do it. And so, because my heavy weapons teams are already in corners within 9 inches. And yeah, I basically moved. So the overall idea was to put the tanky units in front, put in a position where I could possibly be outside of his charge range or bait, and then the rest of my units are in position where they can shoot him to death if need be. And so that is my movement phase. So for a very anemic shooting phase, both my heavy weapons teams, top and bottom, are going to do the secondary. A few last guns in the bottom, Sororitas Rhino, actually wounded and he failed to save, and then everything else was fired into that purple one. Didn't do anything with the other Death Corps. Then the veterans up top had like a plasma gun that could hit that Sororitas Rhino and some last guns, and they just whiffed. And that's pretty much my shooting. So for missions, Investigate Signals, I get 4 points because I did 2 asides. I am going to also discard Assassination and get 1 victory point because it is pointless at this point. It's going to be a very difficult long haul to get to that point. And so I'll have an extra CP and I have 4 points. And I have 3 objectives. And that is my first turn.
Okay, so for my movement phase, like I mentioned in the pre-game, I'm just going ham. My purple Arcoflagellants are coming in here trying to get a pretty easy charge on these blue Death Corps. St. Celestine moved forward to try to get a charge on these Bullgrin. I'm moving towards my right flank because it's actually going to be a little bit easier to get some cover from some of these heavy weapons and come out swinging next turn. I moved my Exorcist into range of some of these snipers or heavy weapon teams that were hanging back, so I will be only hitting on 4s this turn, but next turn it'll be back down to 3s because of my heavy. On the right flank, I did pop out these Arcos, but they can't charge this turn, so they are going to be taking a full salvo and a charge, so we'll see how that goes. But I do have my blue Rhino and then these Arcos right behind him, so yeah. On my flank side, my Rhinos shoot their Storm Bolters, did nothing. Celestine was able to pick off some of this big purple squad in the middle with her Flamer. The Emulator, the Castigator, both shot it there, did quite a bit of damage. The Castigator, especially with that blast, had like 10 shots, which was great. Actually, no, it was more. It was 13 shots he had because I rolled a 6. Other than that, the Exorcist tried whittling down these orange Bullgrins. So not too much shooting, but I was able to cut this purple squad in half, so that was good. Okay, I was able to get my left flank of these purple flagellants into this squad. Hopefully they will be deleted. Celestine also made her charge to the Bullgrin. She failed at first, but I did use a command reroll to get in there. I think it's important to get her in there. Honestly, I probably should have considered a multi-charge against these guardsmen to lock them up or maybe even kill them, but they were an inch further and I really wanted to guarantee she'd get there, so I'm pretty happy with this. On my left flank, these purple Arcoflagellants put in a lot of work. They killed 16 of these guys. Sadly, I failed 4 hazardous tests, causing me to lose 4 guys, so it's actually pretty good for him. My Rhino, I believe, killed 1 guy, and so I'm happy to be taking the point and still in combat. My poor Rhino, though. Celestine over here was able to kill 2 of those Bullgrins. He did interrupt to try to get some damage in, only did 1 wound. However, I was able, even with their -1 damage, I hit and wounded everything with Celestine, so that's 5 damage to attacks, and 1 of them was a devastating wound, so that was really, really lucky on my part.
Yeah, and that was the fight phase. Yep.
Okay, no assassination this turn, but I was able to get 3 and deploy teleport homers.
So for my turn, so for movement phase, I drew Area Denial, which I have to clear the center out or somewhat do it, and then I have to do Cleanse on the center, which is in the shooting phase, which is a bit difficult to do. And so for Battle Shock, my Death Corps in the bottom failed, but they also whatchamacallit, the Death Corps failed their Battle Shock over there, but they regenerated 2 men, and apparently I can move through units as long as I take Hazardous, so that was nice. And so most of my guys were able to walk around, but some of them had to take Hazardous, so I moved on to the objective. They're at 0 OC though, but you know what, that's fine. And whatchamacallit, apart from that, my whole army took the +1 armor save order, except for my Guardsman squad and my Acadian Shock Troop squad, who has they've taken the first rank fire, second rank fire, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, apart from that, Rattling Snipers moved out to get engaged in positions. One of my weapons team didn't do anything. Yellow Bullgrin fell back, Orange Bullgrims moved forward. Death Corps of Krieg is just staying still, and we'll see what happens. Right, so for shooting phase, first, last cannons up top, mag dumped the Rhino up top, deleted it. Last cannons on the bottom, fired at the Rhino on the bottom, did only 5 damage to it. Then after that, shooting, my heavy weapons, heavy bolters fired at the flagellants near the bottom, killed a few. My snipers, hard to remember all that I did. My snipers up top fired at the teal snipers, fired at purple death cold assassins, killed only 1. Then my pink rattling snipers fired at his dialogus in his yellow squad and did only 2 wounds to it, and both squads fell back, 1 to an objective and 1 behind lines. After that, then my purple guardsman squad, with what's left of it, mag dumped Saint Celestine. He took the wounds on her and she just straight up died, and then she came back in the end. And so then my Death Corps of Krieg mag dumped everything they had into the flagellants at the bottom, barely did anything. And so then the 2 squads of Cadians, I combined their shooting, which I shouldn't because I forgot that the green squad has criticals on 5 because of the commander ability. And so they fired 6 meltas into the Rhino, did 1 damage. Absolutely trash. Oh no, actually they did no damage, they failed. It was a plasma gun who did it. And that was it. And then, since these guys got first rank fire, second rank fire for their thing, they fired, I don't know how many shots it was well over 50 last gun shots into the 3 flagellants and deleted them. I think they should have fired at the Rhino because they probably would have killed it. But yeah. And then up top, the Catachans fired their flamers and last guns in the arcoflagellants and killed like 4 of them. And that was the shooting phase. So for the charge phase, Catachans charged his arcoflagellants who are alive, killed them. Alright, yay. Then the Orange Bullgrins charged Saint Celestine, who came back at full, and that's it. So for the fight phase, Catachans up top, they swung 20 attacks with sustained hits and lethal hits from Strachan and the Regimental, and they killed 2 guys. Then the Preacher killed 1 guy. And then Strachan basically, he killed like some, but he has 1 arcoflagellant and 1 wound left. My Bullgrin swung, did 1 wound on Saint Celestine. Then my his arcoflagellants activated their trigger word and did max damage against me, and they successfully killed 1 of my guys because I rolled great and he rolled terrible, but he still is there. I expected to wipe out the squad. I didn't consolidate because I have enough bodies. I have like 30 OC on there or something, maybe, who knows, but more than him. And then Celestine swung back, and with the whole squad they did 1 wound to my Bullgrin, and that was the fight phase. So for the points phase, I gained 10 primary, held home, and held 1 in the middle. Area denial is not happening. I have to get in the center of the board. That's just not happening. So I'm going to discard that for a CP. Cleanse, I might be able to do that later. And yeah, that is my turn.
Okay, for my movement phase, I just went ahead and moved forward. I did pop my Calidus on this left side to get some shooting on this Cayenne Death Corps squad. But other than that, I'm just moving up to hopefully get in this phase.
Any other details you would want to mention to make that more understandable?
Not really. I mean, I moved my Emulator and Castigator onto this point. They're going to start shooting. My arcoflagellants are going to, they're in position to charge these Catachan. Triumph Advance, she rolled a 6, but only needed 2 inches. So, yeah, I'm trying to move forward towards the center and hopefully take this right flank. Right, his squad that was on this objective, using a combination of the Castigator, which again rolled like a 6, so I ended up shooting like 12 shots into there. Lots of melter shots from my red and yellow squads into there, so we were able to pick up the squad. My Exorcists, using indirect, were able to kill his last cannon heavy weapons team and take one of the other heavy weapons teams out of play. Other than that, pretty uneventful. Bada bing. Sorry. No. So the yellow squad over here was able to charge into the flank of this Death Corps squad. My red squad made it into combat with these orange bullgrins. My emulator made it into combat with the catachans, as did these arco-flagellants. So pretty good turn for charges. And my flagellants were able to take down a lot of his catachan squad, but they're still in there. The emulator also still in there. I think he has, what, 4 guys in there. Character left. I failed 5 hazardous rolls for my arcos. Really historically bad. On the other side, I failed 4 the other turns, so that's kind of funny. Over here in this middle squad, those ogrins ended up surviving with 1 wound, so very, very good for him. That would have been very, very bad. I would have locked up the orange and this yellow guy. Over here, the Cayenne actually killed a couple of Battle Sisters. I killed a couple of his guys, but overall, I do retain the point. Okay, so I was able to score 15 on primary this turn, was able to deploy teleport homers in the middle, and was able to get 1 on assassinate.
Alright, so a few things happened. First, starting with the Death Corps teal on the squad, they regenerated 3 guys. They failed their battle shock chest, but I checked, and apparently their commander allows them to get a free stratagem for 0, even if I use it else at another point in time. So I use his ability once per game to have those guys auto pass. The guys up top, the Catachan Jungle Fighters, passed theirs. And the Ogrins, the orange one failed his, and the yellow one passed his. So, alright. Then movement phase. So, then Rattling Snipers moved out. Teal moved in to get line of sight of characters. Pink ones got out of line of sight to focus on characters. My Death Corps Krink fell back off the objective. And then, as far as orders go, everyone... so the yellow squad had rapid fire, the green squad had rapid fire, the Death Corps had move, and up top the Jungle Fighters had extra armor. The Death Corps Kree couldn't get any, and yeah, and then my reserves came in. Sly Marbo and the regenerated squad of Purple Infantry came right above the next to the Calidus Assassin. A unit of Ogrins came to his back line. A unit of Ogrins came in to near the Triumph and the top, as well as the other squad of Cadian shock troops finally came in. And that was my movement phase. Alright, for the shooting phase. So, Ogrins up top shot at the Triumph of St. Catherine. Did nothing. The shock troopers with melta-guns and flamers, plasma, last guns shot at her. Did nothing. Oh, and it did 2 wounds total. That was terrible. Then the Teal Ogrin Bonehead shot at his sisters that were on his home objective. I didn't expect them to wipe the squad, but they did. And Sly Marbo mag dumped the the Calidus Assassin, wiped her out. Then the pink unit of guardsmen fired at the green squad that he had on the bottom objective, killed 1 of them. Then my pink Rattling Snipers fired at his last death assassin, and 1 wound went through and he saved it, and then they fell back. Then the teal snipers fired at him and killed him. After that, then my blue last cannons fired at his rhino at the bottom, wiped them out. Then the yellow squad of guardsmen fired at his yellow squad and killed everyone except 1 Dialogus, which has 1 wound. Then my green shock trooper squad fired at his red squad of Sister Spears. I did have the orange Ogrin fall back. My opponent let me do it so late. And killed like 3 guys. So that was terrible. And that was the shooting phase. So for charge phase, my orange Ogrins up top charged the Triumph of St. Catherine. Failed. The the red squad of shock troops up top charged the teal Arcoflagellants up top. Failed. The pink guardsmen charged the green squad of novitiates. Failed. The teal Ogrins charged his blue exorcist. Failed. The yellow bullgrin passed barely a 2-inch charge into the red squad of sisters. And that was my charge phase. Right. So in the charge, my bullgrin swung, and then he just used miracle dice to autosave. Then his flagellants up top swung and killed every one of the rest of my catachans, and 1 wound to Iron Hand Strachan. Iron Hand Strachan immediately swung and killed all but 2 of the Arcoflagellants. Then he swung on my surviving bullgrin, used miracle dice to cause lots of damage, and he kept making saves. He had 1 wound left until finally he failed 1 6-up Feel No Pain, which he made a few of those. And yeah, and that was the fight phase. So for my turn, gain 10 primary, got a tempting target, and I'm discarding cleanse. That's just not happening. And I'm ahead right now, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. For movement, I'm going to be trying to lock him up in combat and take primary points. So Exorcist blue move to tackle these guardsmen. Triumph is moving along with the emulator to smack these guys over here, this red squad and this orange squad. These squads are enveloping the orange squad in the center. Castigator took this point. Celestine is moving over here to this heavy weapons team, and I brought in my Crusaders from reserves to deploy homers. Okay, starting on this left, the blue Exorcist shot everything into Marlborough, killed him. This orange Exorcist shot these Ogrins, did all damage except for one wound on the Ogrin left. Over here, the Triumph and the Emulator shot at the Ogrins. One is left with 2 wounds. Castigator shot into this orange squad and this green squad, did some chip damage. The green and red BSS squads also did some chip damage. Celestine over here killed the Rattling Snipers. And that is it for shooting. Okay, I made every charge, so that's good. My 2 Battle Sister squads in the middle charged this orange squad. My Exorcist charged the purple squad. The Triumph and Emulator were able to make it down here. Triumph into the Ogrins, Emulator into the Shock Troopers, and then Celestine made it into the heavy weapons team. Okay, so Celestine cleaned up this heavy weapons squad in combat. The Exorcist locked up this purple squad. The Emulator locked up this red squad. The Triumph with their 18 power weapons was able to finish off that Ogrin. The Arco-Flagellants were able to kill this blue character guy over here. And over here in the middle, I didn't kill quite as much as I thought I would. I think the squad's down to 7 or 8 guys, and he was able to kill a couple guys in return, but we're still locked up here. Okay, so for my my secondaries rather, I got 2 characters I killed on Assassinate, so it was 8 points for me. I was able to get to deploy teleport homers from the Crusaders in his backline, and then I maxed out primary.
Alright, at that point we decided to call it. My opponent ran out of time, and so even by the rules that game of me being able to basically, I could play 2 more turns of just moving around, not killing anything, and just putting bodies on points. Even then, I wouldn't be able to overpower my opponent just because he was just everywhere. I made some mistakes here and there, and so I was going to have to give it to a Sister's victory. If I played a few things better and remembered to attack with the right units first, would have been a bit different, but I don't know if it would have been close enough. So, Sisters win, MVP, LVP. So I'm starting with Guard, LVP, the Guardsmen. More specifically, the basic Infantry Guardsmen. Their only buff specialty is that they automatically get cover if they're on an objective. That's the only reason to take them. And so they did do good in taking a lot of shots, but they just really didn't do much damage-wise. And so really disappointing overall. So they performed the least, essentially. MVP. It's a tie between, well, for me, the heavy weapons teams, who slaughtered around 2 of his big vehicles. Easy, did tons of damage there. And then the Death Corps. But you know what? In the end, I'm going to have to give it to the Death Corps because they never died. He never wiped out a single Death Corps unit. Despite them getting hit by tons of shooting, tons of enemies, the Teal Death Corps squad survived an obscene amount of combat, flagellants, everything, and they just straight up lived. They're regenerating troops. The Forge World Marshal, giving them the 5-up Feel No Pain, made these guys just absolutely incredible. And yeah, what about you?
I would say my MVP was Saint Celestine. She was able to tank a lot of wounds and tie up some big squads in combat. Plus, then in the last turn, she was able to kill a heavy weapons squad and a squad of rattling gunners, because she can really only kill small, really glass cannon these squads like those 2. Other than that, she's really just a versatile, fast-moving tar pit. Some games she doesn't do a lot, but this game I think she made up her points. The LVP, definitely the Dialogus. I didn't end up needing to use the Triumph, although I think I could have utilized it more because I ended the game with, like 9 miracle dice. But I didn't end up using the Dialogus, really. I mean, he died once for the Saintly example to give me another 3 miracle dice, which was great, I guess. But again, I didn't end up utilizing him in any meaningful way, so he was pretty much just dead weight.
Yeah, and that's MVP, LVP. Right. The overall thoughts on the game as far as Guard. So this is a more refined infantry list, but I do find that So their strength is not actually in killing the enemy, but moving forward, being a tar pit, and using their OC to take objectives. I kind of lost in the deployment where I put far too many bodies on the bottom, and if I would just equally space them out, I probably would have won the game, because he did all of that force and power in the middle just to kill one squad. If I had one more Cadian squad towards the middle, I'd still hold the center. And I only had one squad towards the top. And that pretty much was... The Catachan squad did actually really good against what it was faced off against, but ultimately I did not manage my forces well enough. I put far too many of them on places that weren't that important, and I had them in reserves for too long. Honestly, none of them should have been in reserves. They all should have been equally spaced. Just move forward. That's what I should have done with the infantry. Just pick a lane to go through and just walk forward and kill things, and that's it. And I would have done very well if I just stuck to that. Would have been a totally different game. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely didn't respect how much your units were tar pits, how many wounds they could take. My Orcoflagellants were their 60 twin-linked attacks, strength 5, sustained hits, +1 to hit oftentimes. I didn't even consider that they wouldn't wipe squads, but I was stuck in combat the whole game for multiple for the same unit for multiple turns. Saint Celestine, the Palatine squad, etc. So it took multiple turns at a minimum to ship these squads, if at all. I did think I should have used vehicle blocking a little bit earlier. In the late game with your reserves, I was able to block them from getting on the points. That is one of the weaknesses of these all infantry guard lists, is that if I can just charge them with a rhino or something a little bit more substantial, you basically get stuck there and you have to keep falling back, but then I keep chasing you. And so yeah, I think had you switched a couple of the tar pits for something with more damage, or like you said, maybe deploy a little differently, could have gone definitely differently. I think I definitely made some mistakes. I was trying out some new stuff with the novitiates. Didn't end up liking it that much, but it could have just been misplays on my part.
Yeah, the timer did make me do some misplays. Like, I should have taken the top objective. Absolutely. Strachan should have swung before those other guys. I completely forgot about him, and he would have easily killed these Arcoflagellants and would have taken the top. But simple mistakes focusing on a timer and stuff, trying to keep our games quick. Or as quick as we can be. Yeah. You took longer than me, and I had a massive infantry force. So the Rattling Sniper's very good, very tactical, very useful. Good. Yeah, the move, shoot, move, stealth, and stuff. Overall, I'm finding that they do lack. So you literally win by just throwing bodies onto a point and just taking forever. That's it. You win by points that way. That's how you win with Infantry Guard, especially Death Corps of Kree. With your orders, you get a 4-up and a 5-up and a brick of 20, and they regenerate like a D3 each turn.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Definitely take 6 of those if you can, if you're going all infantry, I think.
However, I would like to point out that in the real world, it's $60 for 10 of these guys. And
oh my god.
Yeah. So let's put our
maybe don't do that.
2 squads is already pushing it. So
yeah.
Yeah, so overall, I like this army. It is interesting, it's fun, but I would like more teeth. And if I had a Rogel Dorn or 2, or if I just had more Ogryns, because Bullgryns specifically, Bullgryns where it took him forever to kill 1. And if I had 2 CP, I could have brought him back. But yeah, so it's an enjoyable and fun army, but it is a little frustrating that you can't really kill anything. Yeah, and so that's my opinion. What about you? Any lasting thoughts?
No, I mean, yeah, you said it. I mean, I had a lot of material left on the board, but the game was closer than the score would suggest. Definitely way harder to kill than I thought. And
yeah, if I focused like 2 squads in each like third of the map, it might have gone in my direction, because I abandoned this objective essentially. But if I just put 2 squads in there, I would have taken it. Easy. If I put 2 squads here, taken it. 2 squads here, I would have taken it. If I had no one in reserves, yeah.
Because I barely was able to get you off these objectives in 2 turns. So yeah, if you had been jamming these tar pits that were back here with the guys in reserves, I think definitely you would have won. I mean, maybe I would have played differently at that point. I'm not sure what I would have done. But I mean, at least you wouldn't be scoring secondaries that well. but
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah, definitely would have. I think that's the play for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So, GG's, by a thin margin of just hundreds of bodies. So, all right. I don't know what we're going to play next week, but we'll see you then. Bye.